You are the first person in the office and the last person to leave. You fix the spreadsheet, you remember every detail that goes into your team and how the operations work and everything about your team. You have the experience. You have been through all of it for your team. And deep down, you actually believe a lie. You believe that if you just keep your head down and do good work, eventually someone will tap on your shoulders and give you that promotion. And unfortunately, that is not happening, is it? Instead, you're watching that one guy, the one who talks too loud, spends half the day networking at the coffee machine, and actually does less work than you, and he gets promoted over you. It hurts and it feels unfair. And here is a fact. In the corporate world, your work does not speak for itself. You have to speak for it. I'm Rakesh Raveendran. I'm a leadership coach for mid-career professionals just like you. And if you are an introvert or just a quiet leader who hates office politics, this video is for you. Today, I'm breaking down the 3 silent career killers that keep high-performing introverts stuck in the middle management. And I'll tell you exactly what you need to do to fix them. I hope you're ready. And if you're really ready to stop being the best kept secret in your company, hit that subscribe button right now and tap that bell icon to get notified every time I drop a new video. Now, here is exactly what we're going to cover today. 3 points that we will cover specifically today. The first one is the reliability trap, right? Why being the best at your job is actually holding you back and not getting you that promotion. Right. And the second one that we'll discuss is the visibility gap. Why your boss thinks that you're not strategic enough, or you're not promotable yet, or that you're not ready for a promotion yet, and how to fix that. We'll talk about that. And the third one, the final one, is the hope strategy. Right. That is the third trap that we'll discuss about. And we'll discuss why hoping that your work will speak for itself and get you promoted is a terrible strategy. In fact, it is not a strategy at all. It is a hope, right? So we'll talk about that and how to fix that. So let's get going. First, let's talk about the first trap. The first reason you aren't getting promoted may sound crazy to some of you. You are too good at your current job. And I call this the reliability trap, right? So what this is basically, as introverts, I'm an introvert, we love mastery. We love to be in control. We like control. So we become the go-to person. I was one of those guys. In my team back in a few years back, if they needed a report to be fixed in 10 minutes, give it to Rakesh. If there is a crisis, there is an incident that needs to be solved very quickly, ask Rakesh to come in, right? And the fact is that you start to think that you are proving you're ready for the next role, because there's so much importance given to you. Everybody's dotting around you. Everybody's asking for your support. You actually think that will get you to the next level. But the fact is that you are just proving that you are irreplaceable at your current level. And the fact is, right, when I've started to mentor a lot of these mid-level leaders, I've come across a lot of people who are stuck in their role. And very recently, I had a client named Rahul. He was an operations manager, brilliant guy. And every time there was a fire, his boss would panic and say, Rahul, please come and fix it. And Rahul would fix it, right? And he had enough of that. And he had this breaking point when one of his colleagues got promoted before him. And this is how he approached me. Once he had that enough of it, he reached out to me. And that's the point that he reached out to me. He had this breaking point. And he said, Rakesh, I saved the department more than I can count this year. Why did they promote the guy who is sitting next to me? And he wasn't half as good as I am. And I told Rahul the brutal truth. I'm going to tell you this now. I said, Rahul, your boss cannot afford to promote you. If he promotes you to be the director, who is going to fix the spreadsheet on a Friday night? He needs you right where you are. Now, I hope some of you see the fact. You have become irreplaceable in your current role, so much so that your boss is not really sponsoring you. He is not, or she is not bringing your name up when you're not around. So you might now ask, what is the solution? You need to shift from being the hero to being the architect. So here's what you do. Next time a crisis lands on your desk, do not fix it yourself. Stop. Call a junior team member, the guy who is really good. You are looking up to that guy to actually replace you. You have to be able to create your succession plan. This is the guy who is just asking you to mentor him or her, and they are just basically looking up to you and following you and really, really motivated to actually get something done, right? You pick on that team member and then say to that person, basically, I'm going to teach you how to fix this major incident. So next time, when there is an incident like this, you can own it all by yourself. Now, it's not going to be easy. It takes longer today, right? You might spend more time training and getting that person up to speed, and you might have to do 2 or 3 iterations of, hand-holding and, getting them up to speed. The time you take to get them up to speed is absolutely worth investing. Because in about 2 weeks or maybe 3 or a month's time, you won't have to do it all by yourself. And that is how you prove that you're ready to lead, by making yourself replaceable in execution so you are available for strategy. I'll repeat that. You need to make yourself replaceable in execution. You basically are going to delegate it to somebody who is as capable as you. You're going to build that potential in that other person. So you are available for strategy. You need to be more strategic. And that brings me to the second killer. It's called the visibility gap. And that is a rule in leadership that introverts hate. But it's true. I'm sure you hate it. You've heard it. Possibly, right? But it goes like this. If you didn't say it, you didn't think it. You might sit in a meeting with a brilliant idea, but you think, I'll just email it later, or I'll just ping or message that person later. I don't want to interrupt the flow of the meeting. You have excuses basically to not put yourself up in the meeting, put your hand up in the meeting, ask a question, contribute with your thoughts, or even maybe at sometimes disrupt the meeting with a contrary thought. You don't want to do that, because as an introvert, you prefer to be with your thoughts by yourself. Now, look, I'm not saying emailing later on is a bad idea. It is actually a good thing to do, right? Because a lot of introverts, I know, being an introvert, we are good at writing. We are good at putting our thoughts down, typing it down or writing it down. We're pretty good at it, and we can articulate ourselves really well in that case, right? So it's okay to do that. Maybe the first few instances, until you gain your confidence to actually be able to contribute during the meeting. Maybe the first few times you're sending an email out, right? You're bouncing some thoughts off of the key stakeholders in your regular meetings. But then once you gain that confidence, you have to be able to stand up and talk. Because the fact is that when you're not seen as present in the meeting, to the senior leaders that are on that meeting, that silence doesn't look like thoughtfulness. It looks like ignorance. They just think that you just don't have an opinion about it, or you just don't know enough to have an opinion about it. They'll just think you're just ignorant. You have no idea what the meeting is all about, and you're just there to learn. And that doesn't put you in the right kind of place to get promoted. You don't look promotable. You don't feel promotable. And I'll give you an example. I worked with a brilliant woman. Her name is Priya. She's one of the smartest person that I know. In fact, I think she is much smarter than her boss. I'll tell you why I think that. She wrote the strategy document for her whole function, whole department, all by herself. But then, you know what happened? When the time came to present that whole strategy, the presentation was done by her boss. She was present in that meeting. However, in that meeting, she just sat at the back. She took a corner seat, right? And she was taking down notes. She had a notepad and a pen and just happily putting her head down and taking down notes while her manager was presenting the strategy she had written. And believe it or not, when the performance review came around that year, she was told that she lacks executive presence. She was told that she does not have a strategic opinion on things. The fact was that she had written an entire document on business continuity plan for her department all by herself. But it was completely brushed away. And she was furious. For her, that was a breaking point, right? She came to me after that incident had happened. She said to me, I wrote the whole strategy, Rakesh. And I told her in return, yeah, but they don't know that. All they saw was that someone taking notes like a secretary, not leading the conversation like a VP, a vice president, should be doing. They saw somebody who is there to take down notes. They didn't see the strategic person that you are. And here is a fix for that. And I'm not saying that if there is a meeting and your boss was the designated person to discuss or bring up that idea that was brought in by his or her team, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's possibly how the protocol works in most cases, but it's absolutely fine. But here's the thing. I'll give you a fix. I call it the 10-minute rule, right? Make a promise to yourself. You will speak once in the first 10 minutes of every meeting, even if it is just a clarifying question like, does this impact the budget? Right? All you're doing is that you're breaking in, you're letting your presence be seen in that meeting. Everybody's eyes on the person who asked the question, possibly. Now, again, I'm not saying it has to be a question. It would be better if it is a contribution to the discussion, something valuable. And if you are the person who have written that strategic document, you obviously have a lot more input, right? But the whole point, and I'm saying it's possible that you're not comfortable in that contribution, which is fine. But asking a question is something that you have to be comfortable in, right? But the point I'm trying to make is once you speak early in the meeting, the seal is broken. You've broken through that wall of resistance. The room sees you as a participant, not as a spectator. I'm not saying barge in, speak over somebody else who is speaking, and ask some irrelevant question. Make sure you're contributing, and if you are asking a question, it should be well within the context and something that adds value to the topic in discussion, right? And that's really, really important, because otherwise, if you've heard this phrase, don't open your mouth and prove yourself an idiot, right? So don't make the mistake of being unprepared and asking a question for the sake of questioning, because it doesn't look good. And this leads me to the final point, and I believe the most dangerous trap, and that is the hope strategy. This is the belief that politics is dirty and I don't play politics. My work should speak for itself, and etc., etc. But here is a reality. Politics is just people, right? I used to be one of those guys who just swore to myself that I'll never get involved in politics, but then it took me a while to learn that politics is just about how you deal with people, and it's not dirty. There are some situations, but most often than not, it's just people trying to be themselves. If you aren't managing relationships, you aren't managing your career either. And that's what is politics. I had a client, Suresh, right? He stayed late every night, amazing delivery, perfect, outcomes, met all his KPIs. There's no questions asked about the capability he had as an employee. But the problem was that he never took the time out to network. He never went out for lunch, even with his colleagues. He never chatted with his super boss, the director of that function. But here's what happened. When the promotion opportunity came up, it went to some other guy. This guy, the other guy, worked until 5 p.m. But he had coffee with his director every once in a week. He had scheduled some time with his super manager, right? The manager's manager, the director, every week. And Suresh came to me and asked, he said basically, there's so much bias, there's favoritism. I'm being ignored simply because there's another guy, like a lot of you are thinking right now, that other guy was just buttering up the boss, right? Now, Suresh came to me and he was asking me, how do I tackle this? What do? I don't like doing all of that, right? I don't want to be a political person. I don't want to butter the boss to get the job. Is that really how it works? And then I said, no, Suresh, it is not buttering up the boss. It is instead trust. The director trusts that other guy because he knows him. He's familiar with him. If you've heard this phrase, a known devil is better than an unknown angel. He just doesn't know you. He knows the other guy. He only knows your spreadsheets, your outcome, your KPIs that you're meeting. And he's obviously thankful for all of the work that you're doing, but he doesn't see you as a capable next senior manager. And that's your loss. Now, I'm not saying that you have to become a fake extrovert to fix this. You just need one strategic coffee. You have to be very purposeful, right? Let them know openly, be frank about the fact that you want to build a relationship. You want to learn from that other person because you actually see yourself as somebody who aspires to get into the next role, and you see that there is value in having conversation with this person to learn more about what needs to be done to actually earn that title, to earn that role. So you find that one person of influence, send them a message. Be honest, right? I'd love your perspective on the industry trends or your function, specific areas of interest, right? Whatever you see in that person, be specific and say, I'd love to bounce off a few ideas, or I'd love your perspective. Do you have 15 minutes for a virtual coffee? Or if you are able to meet with this person face to face, do you have 15 minutes for a coffee? It needn't be weekly, it could even be once in a month. Your intention is not to ask for a promotion in this meeting. You genuinely are just looking for advice or for a perspective from the senior leader, right? That one conversation is worth more than 100 perfect reports that you produce. Make sure you prepare and make it meaningful conversation for you and the person with influence that you're speaking with. This could be your skip manager, your super boss, or maybe someone in another department where you'd love to work. This is probably your dream job, and let them know about it. Let them know you're passionate about the job and you're trying to learn the ropes to be in that job. What does it take to be in that job and be successful in that job? Listen, I see you. I know you are tired of being Rahul, Priya, or Suresh that I spoke about. You have the talent, you have the work ethic, and now you have the 3 tools to start fixing it. But knowing what to do is different from actually building the habit. How do you build visibility without being arrogant? How do you influence people who have more power than you? That is why I created my 60-day leadership growth challenge. This is a complete step-by-step roadmap specifically designed for mid-level managers like you. You can go at your own pace. Whether you are a new manager trying to survive or trying to break into the C-suite, this is your manual. I have put the link right there in the description below. Stop waiting for permission to lead. Go check it out and just lead. Now, one of the biggest reasons introverts get stuck in that reliability trap is because they don't know how to say no. In this next video that comes up next week, I break down the art of saying no to your boss without getting fired or offending them or making them feel like you are ignoring their requests. I'll see you in the next one.